Welcome to today's episode of The Power of Reinvention. Here we talk with my guests about the dreams, the visions, and the passions that individuals have every day and dare to explore them. Whether it's business or personal, you're entitled to live the life that you want, and no matter what the circumstances, you have the power to create success, fulfill your dreams, and live with passion. That's what I'm talking about. So dare greatly. Happy reinventing, folks. Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of The Power of Reinvention. As you know, we are having a really special month of episodes this month, being Women's International History Month. It's an opportunity for me to really shine a light on some extraordinary women that I am blessed and fortunate to know that are doing incredible things in their world. Fortunately for me, in this case, Adrienne Lahens, who is my guest today. Hi, Adrienne.
Hi, Kathy.
Is a dear friend. I am glowing. If you're not seeing the video version of this, you can probably hear the smile on my face. I light up every time she and I connect. Adrienne is an extraordinary and brilliant young lady who came into my life many years ago. And we have built an incredible friendship and connection with one another. And it's not because her fabulous, gorgeous red hair, although it is fabulous and gorgeous as she is.
Very frizzy.
But fantastic. But is a graceful and brilliant young lady who I am very fortunate to know and learn from in so many different ways. And we make a point of getting together on a regular basis and sharing and exchanging all kinds of things. And it would have been very selfish of me not to share you with our audience and have you be a part of this incredible month as we honor and celebrate women from all walks of life and the marvel that we all are and what we're doing, the work we're doing, the people we uphold and support, the lives that we create. And I am just thrilled that we get to have this conversation and I get to share you with a lot of people. So thank you for being here.
Kathy, thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here. I'm a huge fan, obviously, of you and of the podcast. Not only are you a brilliant executive, a brilliant entrepreneur and leader yourself, and someone who has always carved a path for women all over the community, but you also are a beacon of sunshine as well. Like, I see you and I just smile and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited just to like be in the same room as you. You have this really incredible energy and I love that so much. And
I
I look
appreciate that.
to bring that in as much as I can whenever I can.
Thank you. I love that. So those of you listening, sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. Apologize for the voice here. But if you don't know why I'm gushing about Adrienne and who she is, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on her and her experience just for some context. And then we're going to dive into some really fun and interesting conversation points. Adrienne's the co-founder and CEO of Infinite Studios. It is an AI native studio and creative platform that helps brands continuously generate, test, and optimize high-performing content. Infinite Studios' patent-pending technology combines agentic AI pipelines, multimodal generation, and performance signal learning to transform how brands produce creative in the era of AI. And I know some of you going, what? What did she just say? We're going to dig into this. Don't you worry. Don't tune out. We're about to make you a whole lot smarter. This is why I love to hang around you. Trina spent her career building the systems that connect creators, brands, and technology at a global scale. At TikTok, she built and scaled the creator marketplace into a global platform across 24 plus markets and millions of creators, launched the generative AI ad suite, Talk Symphony, and founded the Symphony Collective to advance responsible AI in marketing. Prior to TikTok, Adrienne was the COO of Influential, which is an unbelievable company with a lot of mutual friends there, and drove 10x growth before its acquisition by Publicis. She also helped pioneer native advertising and branded video at BuzzFeed during its hypergrowth phase. She is also a regular speaker at Cannes Lions, so listen up, everybody. If you know anyone, she is one of the most extraordinary speakers. South by CES and writes The Imagination Age, a newsletter exploring the future of AI, creativity, and human potential. That word human right there, I think, is what we need to put at the center of this conversation, because as many out there are hearing the words AI, those of us in the business, we're a little more comfortable with it. And I think it's really interesting when we sit around a dinner table with those who aren't in our industry and just sit back and listen. And I so often do that. I don't try to impart what little wisdom I have on what's been going on in the last 10 years around me with AI, but rather just sit back and I listen to how the average person is managing and digesting and making sense out of what AI really means in their world, as opposed to how we look at it from an industry perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And humanizing the notion of AI and what that really means, I think, is so important. So perhaps we can actually start with you giving us a little context. You have become this extraordinary entrepreneur. You have launched this incredible Infinite Studios company. You are not holding back on any level. I mean, why don't you give us a little glimpse into what it is that you're building and creating and what really inspired you to want to do this and really kind of take this very bold move into this space.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Such a generous intro. Thank you so much. I have really spent my career at this intersection of like technology and the creator economy. And like the future of creativity has been something that's driven me from my childhood all the way throughout my career. And what has always really excited me since the early days of the internet was this idea of the human component of democratization, giving access to people all around the world to distribution, and now more recently with AI, generative media to creation. And what I mean by that is, just similar to how, with TikTok democratized distributions and discovery such that, Kabe in Italy, for example, could be a factory worker laid off all of a sudden post, his first TikTok and become a global superstar is. I think he actually just sold the rights to his likeness or something for like close to $1 billion or something like that. Incredible success story. To now, we have cinematic quality production tools in the hands of people all around the world who maybe never had access to traditional Hollywood pipelines and can now tell stories with cinematic quality from their own perspectives. Now, there's definitely a double-edged sword, right? With all of this technology, it's all of the things that make it really exciting also make it really concerning. And I think, my perspective on that is I always like to lean in to those moments versus lean out. And by the way, I don't think there's anything wrong. I know a lot of people are like, I'm going analog, I'm going off the grid. I
Right. I've heard that
respect
from a few
it.
people, actually. It's
I know.
fascinating.
I know. And I think a balance is really nice. I try to balance a lot as well, but to the best I can. But this train has left the station. Like we it's inevitable. And so either you can lean in and create what you want to create in the context of this new world, or, frankly, you will get left behind. I like to sit in an abundance mindset and in a mindset of a lot of excitement about what this can unlock, because historically technology has opened up a lot of doors, and that has been the pattern. It's brought more creative people into the fold. And I do believe that AI will be a similar lever in that regard.
So you are creating movies with AI. You are creating the tools for others to, you're sort of in that teach a man to fish as opposed to just buy him a fish. Speak a little bit to what prompted you to go down this road with all that's out there, all that you've done and all that is out there. What was it that made you go down the road you've gone down, and how do you see the industry, it affecting the industry as a whole? We've certainly seen a shift in the way people are actually embracing the creative side of how AI can power a lot of work that's being done and the human element required still to really drive a lot of that.
Yeah. My big there's been several like aha moments, which I think everybody has had their aha moment when it comes to AI. The first time maybe you experienced ChatGPT or something. One of my big aha moments was when I was at TikTok and I actually was on maternity leave for 3 months. And I came back and we had a QBR session where we were looking at the results of the models that we were building for TikTok Symphony. We were looking at the results from kind of a comparison of 3 months ago to today. And I literally just, it was like before my baby was born and after.
Right. Wow.
And it was night and day. And the first time I saw the first output, I was like, okay, it's going to be a while, like before advertisers are going to adopt this thing. Like, this is not ready. And then 3 months later, I was like, oh shit, this is like kind of ready. How did that
Wow.
happen in 3 months?
Is that quickly?
Yeah, the rate and the speed at which things are changing. And then I started to also think I was sitting next to my son. And when I was at TikTok, I was responsible for like launching the symphony to the press. And so the way that we did that was we wanted to show the power of the tool. And so we created an avatar of me to make the announcement. So it wasn't actually me, it was, my avatar and speaking in different languages. And I showed my son, he was, I think, 7 or 6 at the time. And he goes, Mommy, does that mean that you can work less and your avatar can work for you? And I was like, we're going in that direction, my love. That is the direction we're going in. And so yeah, I think like those moments are, exciting moments. And I do think that there's tremendous opportunity in terms of how we need to start thinking bigger, because I think where things get, especially from a creative perspective, when we just think about AI replacing what we're already doing, not only is that scary, it's like boring. Just
It's
yes, there is a lot of cost efficiency, there is a lot of scale, there's a lot of time savings, but that's just like the baseline of it. It's like, what can we actually do that expands possibilities? And I'll give you an example. Like, we're working on a documentary where we're able to protect and anonymize our characters. We're able to protect their identities because they're facing persecution. We're able to bring 2D animation to life in a way that wasn't accessible to indie doc filmmakers. We're able to train models on their facial expressions and their hand movements to still preserve the authenticity of their storytelling while protecting their identities. This is something that's not possible in traditional animation, at least not to my understanding. And so, like, what can we do that it unlocks? And then from a brand perspective, it is such an exciting time to be a marketer, because now all of a sudden we can unlock branded entertainment at scale, which is something we've talked about for how many years. And it's always been contained by very limited budgets. We can actually do that. We can transport audiences into these surreal environments, which are really exciting. We're working with several brands in that capacity. And I think it's important that brands really think about the philosophical questions, like, what does AI mean in the context of my brand, and how do my consumers feel about AI in content creation? And that's going to look a little bit different for every brand and every brand personality. One brand that we're working with, they're like, we want to really lean into surreal visuals. We don't want to do anything that a photo shoot can do. We just want to do the things that really elevate the brand and allow us to tap into cultural moments in ways that were not possible before. And rather than us just not having any post in this topic or for this holiday, now we can actually participate, but we're going to do it in a way that's really elevated versus someone else is like, they is gonna not really care that it's AI as long as the storytelling is really good and it's really entertaining. It's like, oh,
right.
everybody knows that's AI, but it's so damn funny that it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
That it's okay. Or it's almost a gift that they can appreciate at that point, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so interesting because I think people are definitely turning a corner in terms of the sense of appreciation of what AI can deliver. And, there's always going to be this concern, the conflict, and people's fear, right, of not knowing. And I think it's like anything you said a little while ago about, technology, just there's always going to be something new if we just allow ourselves to take the time to learn and know it. It empowers us to want to use it. I remember when I was young and you got a VCR, a new piece of equipment. I was that geek that would like read the manual before I turned it on so that when I turned it on, I knew what to do with it. Right. Like maybe
Yeah.
not cover to cover, but enough to have a sense of what the opportunities were, what I knew I could now do with it. Now I'm going to go figure out how to make that happen. And I
Mm.
feel like that's a really great approach to a lot of what we're now confronted with. Like, what is possible? And I love what you said. Like, there's, the everyday use of AI, of, searching for something is boring. The question is, what do you wish you could do? What do you dream of? What do you envision? And I feel like you are literally living that because you are creating a business, a company, a film, and goodness knows what else you're creating that I don't know about. Um, to really stretch the limits of what's possible or access things that are attainable.
Yeah. It reminds me like the early days. So I've been in the creator space for like 15 years. And the early days of influencer were not like, it wasn't like cool. The influencer space, what like, there was a lot of pushback on it. It was a cliche a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Like, and now being a creator is like the number one thing everyone wants to be, even
yeah,
if you are a lawyer or a dentist or a doctor or an entrepreneur, you're a creator too.
right.
It's become so legitimized. I believe that AI art is very similar in that capacity, where it's not like amongst a lot of society, maybe it's not in the cool club yet, but I am very confident that it's moving in that direction, and we're going to see that start to unlock in really big ways, especially as we start to see some of the really incredible work. It's really a new medium, just like a lot of people compare it to like the camera, and it is similar in that regard, right? Like Aaron Sims, one of my favorite photographers.
Yeah.
Everybody has access to click a button and take a picture, but
Ex-
does everyone understand composition? Is everyone a tastemaker? What is your lived experience? What is the story that you want to tell? What empathy do you have for your subjects? How are you thinking about bringing those characters to life through that work? Even if they're synthetic, even if they're animated, even if they're 3D. So if you think about it from that perspective, it's really just a new means by which we can tell stories. A friend of mine is Venezuelan, and she showed me this video, beautiful video of an AI artist who brought to life, the recent event that took place
yes.
with the president. And
Right.
he was telling that story from his perspective in a really cinematic way. It almost looked like a Hollywood film.
Ex-
And you feel when you see that, when you see it through the lens of someone who is telling that story from their own perspective, you could feel the empathy of that story coming through in a way that maybe you never thought about. That very, kind of like the female gaze, right?
Yeah.
Have that now for artists around the world. You could feel their gaze through
Yeah.
some of these outputs in really interesting ways.
That's incredible. I want to ask you a question in this very tech world that you have been playing in all these years, working in, playing in, and thriving in. Where do you see the glass ceiling or lack thereof?
Mm.
The women's world, people have previously in our past, as antiquated as it may sound, technology was relegated to the boys and, not necessarily women. We both know an unbelievable number of incredible, powerful, dynamic women in our industry, in our various businesses. What are you seeing the shift look like? And who's sort of leading in faster? And wanting to it faster. What I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you're observing in the business about that.
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think like first of all, I personally am forever grateful for the women that came before me that carved the path. And we have I think like where we are as a society now, I mean there's still a long ways to go, but there's been tremendous improvement. And Kathy, women like you, like Shelley Zalis, like Jamie Gutfriend, like so many amazing women who have done such incredible community building work, lifting other women up so publicly. And with, oh my God, the female quotient events, not only are they like amazing
Yeah.
and just inspiring, but they're also like so well produced. Like obviously a incredible,
Yeah.
fabulous woman is behind those events, like those
Yeah.
stages.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like that, and there's been a number of women who have been leading the way in AI from that perspective, whether it's community building. My friend Danny Vandesand, she runs Artists in the Machine with Natalie Monbio, really pulling together incredible leaders across the industry. I personally like to, when I try not to think too much about the glass ceiling, to be perfectly honest. I don't really like to live in a place of, victimization.
Imitation. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, our brains are so powerful. I have mixed race kids as well, and it's a sensitive topic. It's important to talk about. Like, I want them to, I have two boys, and I want them to know about their history, but there's two ways to tell the same story. One
It's
is a
beautiful.
way of victimhood, right? And another is a story of triumph and resilience. And so how we can lean more into that side of things, and
Yeah.
when we look at the data, like, women represent 10% of Fortune 500 CEO positions. That number is up significantly over the last several years.
Yep.
Women also control 70 to 85% of all consumer spending. That gap is the opportunity for all of us to fill.
Exactly. Right. And that's where the focus should be. And that's what's going to like rise all the boats if
Mhm.
we think that way. And I love that you're pointing that out. As you know, I've run my own business for 37 plus years. And, there was no one around at the time having these conversations, what you can and can't do, what you shouldn't do. I'm really an OG female founder and never thought about it that way. Now everybody says, I'm starting a company. I'm a female founder. I didn't realize there was a name for what I was doing. I just wanted to do what I knew I wanted to do. And I went and made it happen and I created it. And there was never a question of, should I be asking for the same amount? Should I not be asking? The fact that you don't acknowledge the glass ceiling to me, that what was that? I didn't know. I never worked in corporate America, so it was never an issue to me. But I think it is so important that we recognize who we are as women, the resilience. You said, that you're grateful for the women that came before you. And I would imagine you've had some incredible mentors in your career as well that have really helped pave the way. How much would you say you have sort of leaned in and relied on some of that input and advice and guidance? And are you able to do the same for others just because I'm sure so many people knock on your door and want you to sort of really guide and mentor them?
Absolutely. I mean, I lean on it every day. I have incredible women around me, and being part of women groups as well. You and I are part of some similar groups.
Yeah.
I have a few of them that I'm a part of. And when you find women with like-minded ambition who are really focused on, and it's also like a board of, it's your own personal board of directors. These are people that you can count on for advice, feedback, who listen. I have a friend, her name is Stefania. She's an executive coach, and I love to run things by her because she will just like listen, and then she'll tune into my energy. And rather than prescribing like what I should do, she'll just be like, "I heard your voice sounded like this when you talked about this. What did that mean?" And like helps you to kind of understand your own intuition.
Right.
And to answer your question about mentorship, I feel that mentoring others is also a gift for the mentor as much as it is for the mentee, because it allows you to kind of like see things from a different perspective and talk through your own, we all have limitations in our own ideas. And but when you're approaching it from a different perspective, from the perspective of a mentor, you're almost mentoring yourself in the process.
Right. Well, you're acknowledging, and this is really important for us to acknowledge our gifts and our
Yeah.
strengths and our knowledge. I think most people take for granted what they know, what their wisdom is, what their insights are. You don't have a chance to really pat yourself on the back very often. And I think many people were probably brought up not to necessarily do that. And that is an extraordinary gift to give yourself, to be able to tune into who you are and what your gifts are and what your superpowers are. And I think to your point, when you mentor other people, if you're really paying attention, you are sharing those wisdoms with other people and recognizing the value of that. And that is an incredible gift to give oneself.
Yes, and I had a realization over the last few years, which is that your ego gets in your own way in terms of your setting your own limitations. And what I mean by that is I used to get nervous going on stage. And then I was like, why am I nervous getting on stage? And I realized it's not a matter of being unprepared. I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking about what are people going to think about me? And really, when you're upstage, no one's thinking about you. They're like, what is this person offering me? And so I started to get in the headspace of, I am on stage, I am in service of the audience. This is not about me. This is about the something I can share that can help someone else in the audience. And when you think about it from a service perspective, it
Yes.
kind of takes your ego out of the equation and you get a little bit less nervous. That's been my experience. And then the second thing is similarly with like you're going up for a big job promotion, right? Take your ego out in the same way. I have to tell you this story. We were sitting at dinner yesterday, and this incredible woman who rattled off all these amazing brands she worked for as a VP of marketing. I mean, the biggest Fortune 500 brands, and then also the biggest influencers in the world. And she's currently out of work consulting. Afterwards, we are kind of just talking, and she was like, "Yeah, like I'm looking for a full time role, VP, but it's a really tough market. So maybe more of like a senior director." And me and someone else who was sitting on the other side of her, we are like, "What are you talking about? You are going for the CMO, girl. Like." You have been in
Right.
the VP position. You rattled off all these jobs that you've had. Why are you not stepping up to the CMO? You got to be in that mindset.
Right.
And you have to think that if not me, if not you, then who? Right?
And you are worthy and you should dream big,
Yeah.
right?
And it's a service to everyone else that you get that position, because if you move down, right? Like if you take your if you don't see your own self-worth,
Right.
right? It's the women that came before us that saw their own self-worth,
Right.
that carved the path for everyone else. It's our duty to move up in the world.
Absolutely right. It's incredible. I think, it's interesting because even as you're transitioning from what were traditionally jobs, corporate jobs, to building your own company, you had to kind of have that moment where you said, I'm gonna, take a flyer here. I'm gonna take a risk. I'm going to bet on myself. What are my superpowers? How do I show up? How do I create something meaningful and important? Knowing that you are being listened to here by so many who are potentially on the precipice of something like that. What kind of advice, what was that internal conversation?
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to others who are potentially, as you said, you were at lunch yesterday with someone trying to figure out what to do with their lives. And I think we both know a lot of people going through that,
Everyone.
right?
I feel like
Yeah.
everybody's going
Yeah.
it's like a shift in the universe that's
Yeah.
happened over the last several years. Everybody's
Yeah.
going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about it in a few ways. Number one, I left a very, very, very cushy job. It was a very hard job, but I had a beautiful role at an amazing company. And it kind of is a little crazy to like leave that and just be like, what's
Free
next, and
fall,
start.
free fall,
It is 100% jumping out of a plane without a parachute. It is.
right?
But when you think about the risk of not doing it, if you think about like fast forward to, end of your life situation, and it's like, oh, I always wanted to start my own company. Why? Because I have a very, particular vision for the future. I'm really excited by this thing. I see a problem that I need to solve. And also the third layer to that, which I think is very important, is like, I kind of want to like prove to myself I could do it. I've worked in startups before for amazing leaders, and I've worked in corporate, and I mean, but why not me? Like, and if you think like that, if you have that feeling and then you kind of zoom fast forward, the bigger risk in life is to be towards the end and be like, I wish I would have. Why not? Why didn't I try? Why didn't I give it a shot?
And I talk about this, as I have for years around this topic of reinvention. And of course, the book being Reinvent Your Life. What are you waiting for? Being the title. It's a very powerful thought that you just expressed. And, it's not for everybody, but it is for a lot more of you out there than you actually believe and you think. And the ability to bet on yourself, to zero in on something you're passionate about and believe in, to surround yourself with mentors and people who are going to help elevate the conversation. And I think, as you pointed out, being a mentor is an incredible gift to oneself because it enables you to really look that just the pure and sheer joy of helping other people, which is one of the reasons I wrote the book. It's why I do this podcast. It's why I love to have these conversations. And everyone knows as they're going through a transition, I'm the first to say, hey, nobody loves a reinvention more than I do. You're in that weird space. I got you. What can we do? Let's put our heads together. What are your superpowers? What are your gifts? Who are you? And sometimes I go, let me rewrite your resume. You're not even
Mm,
recognize yourself when I get done with you, but it's all going to be fact based. But our ability to trust in who we are and go into the world with that. And the fact that we as women, and I think more than anything, we surround ourselves with like minded friends and women and mentors and colleagues. We are living in a time where there may be a lot of uncertainty, but I don't think we have ever seen a time in our lives where women are more supportive and lifting each other up than we are seeing right now. It is
oh yeah.
believable. I mean, that is, it is a real gift. And I think if you're not recognizing it, to those listening, I think just, really take a look at who's in your world, and don't be afraid to raise your hand and ask for help or ask for advice or ask for someone's opinion. Doesn't even have to be under the heading of help. It might be, what's your thoughts? I'm thinking about doing this. And not everybody's going to agree with you, but that's okay. You're going to get the last
Yeah.
stuff.
Take it as data. Like, I I actually just talked about this recently. Like, the worst people to have around you are like nice people. And I mean, it's great to have kind people, but nice people to just tell you like everything is
Yes.
great,
Yeah.
right? Because the truth is, nobody owes you feedback. Feedback is a gift. If someone, and you have to create the environment where people feel comfortable giving you that tough feedback, and then you take it in as data, and you filter it through whatever your vision is for the world and what you're trying to do. But seek that out. Really surround yourself with people that push you and challenge you to help take you to the next level too.
It's such a core part of it. Is there any advice, as we sadly have to sign off shortly? Is there any advice which you have just given, but anything else that you feel has really helped you in your journey? Whether it was 20 or 30 years ago, whether it was a pivotal moment in your life that you were really at a crossroads trying to figure out what to do, an opportunity that you just like ran towards because you couldn't help yourself, which kind of feels like what you're doing right now. But is there any advice that you would give to those?
Yes, a couple things. The first is that the only thing constant is change. You got to be fluid. When I was up TikTok, there was a lot of change all the time. I think my team went through 5 reorgs in a year. It was like crazy. It was crazy. But
Yes.
you know what? That with every change, with every bit of chaos, there's opportunity and there's arbitrage. So try to find that,
Yeah.
what version of that is for you. And also, there's times where we all feel so low, like, for whatever it is, like just things aren't feeling like they're working. My, like the patterns I've seen is the moments I end up feeling the absolute lowest is usually like within 24 hours, something amazing happens. And so just power through. And whether that's like you heard no 100 times and then you got your first client, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever that means for you. But usually sometimes life tests you like that. Life wants to see how you handle that low, how low
Yeah.
it can,
Right.
and then you just bounce back from that, and it's usually pretty quick once
Yeah.
you get to that point. And so just power through.
I love that. Oh, Adrienne, there's so many incredible nuggets of wisdom that I know you've experienced and shared. And I just so appreciate this conversation and being able to share you with everybody today. I'm excited to watch all that's about to come ahead with everything that you're doing. And lucky for me, I get to hear it all the time, and we'll have a front row seat to a lot of it. So I am just delighted to be able to have you on here today. And as we are doing an entire month and probably going into April, because there are so many incredible women in our lives that are going to be part of this series, I just look forward to being able to share this with everybody. And just want to thank you for being here. So
Thank
thank you.
you, Kathy. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful gift and a service that you do, bringing this podcast to life in your book. And I remember the first time we met at lunch and you handed me your book. We went out to the parking lot. You handed me, I read it cover to cover within 2 days.
Aw. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it was a labor of love writing that book and sharing
Everyone
other
needs
people's
to read it.
stories. I mean, there are power tools and other people's stories that I really do feel motivate and inspire people to just to recognize what they're entitled to have in their lives. And that's, for me, what I just absolutely love, making sure that people know that they can. I was blessed to have parents that kind of gave me the perspective between an entrepreneur and a mother that was very spiritual. So I was given the gifts to kind of just go make it happen. Sure you can. So I try to pass that on
Love it.
and really just thank you. So happy reinventing it, everybody that is out there. Go forth and conquer. And happy Women's Month to everybody. And Adrienne, you and I will see each other very soon.
Yay.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, my dear.
Thanks for listening to The Power of Reinvention. If you enjoyed this episode, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Wouldn't mind a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, be sure to visit thereinventionexchange.com to share your reinvention stories, suggest a guest, join the newsletter mailing list, get access to my book, which is called Reinvent Your Life, What Are You Waiting For?, and discover fantastic bonus content with my blogs, and listen in to the Reinvention Virtual Chat series. Don't forget to join me next week for another episode. Please share with a friend, and thank you for listening. Happy reinventing.